Hey, what's going on out there? This is Mike, and we're back with another episode of The Sports Dope, coming to you on a Friday night. And I'm very sorry, I meant to get it out on Thursday, but some shit happened. I would have loved to get it out Thursday so that you guys could listen to it on your commute if you had anything, or at work, at your corner bedroom, office, if you're still working from home. But it just didn't work out. Some shit popped up, and just didn't have the 25 minutes to sit down and record this. Plus, the 2 hours or so took for me to put this stuff together. But what we're going to do here today is we're going to do some daily fantasy lineups for week one. Take some long shots, take some pretty not long shots like headshots, and we'll talk about that shit. Also, I listened to the podcast in the car, and I realized it's pretty fucking low. That's kind of annoying. So I played with the audio, and I think I got it up to a respectable level where you don't have to turn it all the way up just to listen to my stupid self. I could talk. And plus, I don't want to yell into the microphone. You guys know me. I'm fucking, I'm mellow. I'm more of that. Just silly, mellow. Sometimes I'll get amplified, but Nah, not usually. I'm just going to rip it off, though. So, how we did it last year and how I'm going to keep doing it is we went through two different lineups each week, right? We went through one lineup for the Millionaire Maker, and which is only consisting of the day games. 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock if you're on the East Coast, 10 a.m., 1 o'clock if you're on the West Coast, whatever the fuck it is in the middle, right? And then we did another lineup that just encompassed pretty much everything, everybody's fair game. So it just added a couple games to the lineup. And so that's what we're going to fucking do again, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If that generated tens of views and listens, then why would I stop that fucking momentum train from going, right? Nah, I'm just kidding. I love it. Anyway, so here we are. We're going to start it off. We're going to go something easy. So this is the entire slate of games, right? So Millionaire Maker, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock. This is the entire slate of games. This is everything you got here. So this is 1 o'clock, the double fucking back-to-back on Monday night where my Giants going to get the shit kicked into them by the fucking Steelers. And then, yes, it includes all that stuff. So, we're going to start it off. And what you got to do here, right? You got to go for the stack. Always go for the stack. And I don't like to spend a lot of money on quarterbacks. I think that was a theme last year. I don't really. I think you could always find like a cheap guy who's going to be good week in, week out. Not a cheap guy but a cheap guy week in, week out that will be good. Let me rephrase that. So, so we're going to start off cheap guy, and so this is a team. They got a brand new running back, and they got a lot of weapons through the air, and they're playing a team who doesn't have a great secondary, and they're playing on Sunday Night Football, and they're the Rams, and he's Jared Goff, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of passing in that game. Goff has just as many weapons as Prescott on the other side, but Prescott's getting all the press because it's brand new weapons and shit. These are fucking old familiar weapons, right? Well, actually, Prescott doesn't really have new weapons. He had Gallup and Cooper last year, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Everybody's new fucking darling this year for some reason is the Cowboys. Maybe it's just McCarthy. Who the fuck knows? But anyway, the Rams. I like Jared Goff. He's only $5,700. He's on the fucking way low end of the spectrum in the cost of quarterbacks here. And so one of two things is going to happen, I think. It's either going to be a shootout or Dallas is going to be up and they're going to have to throw the ball. They got an unproven running back in Cam Akers, who I do love, but it wouldn't be a surprise if he had a tough time getting going. And the Cowboys D, definitely suspect in the secondary. So I'm going with Jared Goff, $5,700. And I'm going to go right off the bat, tell you to stack. Everybody loves Robert Woods for fucking fantasy football. I love Robert Woods for fantasy football. But why do you love Robert Woods for fantasy football? It's because Cooper Kupp always gets hurt. It's week one. It's daily fantasy. It's not week-long. Week-long. That is what it is. It's week-long. It's not fucking year-long fantasy. It's the daily fantasy. So I'm going with Cooper Kupp. They're the same price. And when Cooper Kupp is in the game, he usually gets more targets. So I'm going with him, $6,500. So there we go. That's my stack. I'm into it. I fucking dig it. You got to be a little bit off the rails. If everybody takes Lamar Jackson, then fuck them. Then, so here we go. Starting with some running backs now. We're gonna go down the list. So David Montgomery, he's hurt. He's been hurt for a couple weeks now. So they don't have anybody else really. So who's going to get it? It's going to be Tariq Cohen. And it's probably going to be in the form of short passes more than anything. And they're probably going to be down against Detroit. I just saw it a little bit ago, but Galladay's got a little bit of a hamstring thing now. So it looks like Detroit might not have as good a time scoring, but I think it just means that the Marvin Joneses of the world and the TJ Hawkinses of the world are going to get even more play. Not necessarily that downgrades Detroit's offense because they got a lot going on over there. So Tariq Cohen, he's going to catch a lot of balls. If they're down, they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. He's the pass-catching guy, so he's going to be the guy out there. He's definitely got the ability to break it. He's broken it before, and the Detroit defense, not really anything, to write home about. So it's absolutely there. He's only $4,900 and definitely worth it. Next running back we got on the list, Austin Eckler. This one, he's a big dog, right? He's up there. He's a first round, second round, early second round draft pick in most cases, early second round. But I love him there. I love this spot for him too. They're going to Cincinnati. Cincinnati's got a fucking shitty defense. Not only that, Tyrod Taylor's the new quarterback for the Chargers. So they're going to be going pretty conservative, I would imagine. So it's going to be a lot of short stuff. He's new there. There's no fucking preseason. This game is going to be a lot of fucking, I don't know, just real slow chess move bullshits. But I don't even want to call it chess because both of these teams are kind of lame. It's more like, I don't know, a couple of idiots playing checkers. So I think Eckler's going to get a lot of work, though. Touchdown, maybe two. A lot of yards, though, because they're going to move the ball. So next up, going into the receivers, we already talked about Cooper Kupp. Next one, I'm going with somebody. He's cheap, $4,900. He's really the only healthy receiver there, and the secondary they're playing is kind of suspect. So I'm talking about DeSean Jackson. Philly's going to Washington. Washington's got a pretty stout front. Philly, the offensive line's a little bit banged up, and then Miles Sanders is a little bit banged up, so I think they're going to be passing it a little bit more. They don't have too many targets. DeSean Jackson back in Philly, and I think he gets a lot of work that day. $4,900. I don't think he passed that up. Last receiver on the list, we are going with Deontay Johnson on the Pittsburgh Steelers. He moved up everybody's draft sheets. He's getting drafted in the mid rounds. These DraftKings prices came out way early, and the Giants secondary is absolute trash. If you listen to the other podcast, it's going to be about. I just think they're going to be terrible. They got nobody out there, and Roethlisberger, he's going to come out. He's going to want to sling the ball. If the lame people that the Giants do have back there, they're going to be focused on Juju. So I think Deontay Johnson at $4,200 gets a lot of work. So tight end. Going to a game that I think is going to be pretty high scoring. Seattle's going to Atlanta. Seattle's got a new tight end. That tight end is going to be hurt in the middle of the season, but it's only week one, and we're not keeping him that long. We're keeping him for one fucking week. And that guy is Greg Olsen. He's only $4,000. I guarantee he catches a touchdown in this game. Greg Olsen, from his time with the Panthers, familiar with these Falcons. He knows where the holes in the zone are. They're fucking everywhere. But I actually do think Atlanta's going to be pretty decent this year, but I do think Greg Olsen's going to get his in this game specifically because the offense is pretty fucking good. So we're at the flex. Oh, Greg Olsen's $4,000. We're at the flex spot. If you notice, I haven't spent a real lot of money here. right? We got Jared Goff for $5,700, Tariq Cohen at $4,900, Austin Eckler at $7,000, Deontay Johnson at $4,900, Cooper Kupp at $6,500. Oh wait, that was Deshaun Jackson. They were close. D's and J's. There you go. Deontay Johnson's $4,200. Deshaun Jackson's $4,900. Greg Olson's $4,000. I'm probably averaging under like low sixes, probably maybe even lower than that. That's because I put Christian McCaffrey in my flex spot. So I think there's actually going to be a lot of offense in this game. The Vegas Raiders and the Carolina Panthers, I think both of their defenses are just so bad. And I do think that both of the offenses have the ability to score. Carolina certainly. I don't understand the line in this game also, if you looked at that, if you listen to that podcast, because it's probably just because of the cohesiveness, because of the offseason, or not the offseason, but the lack of the preseason games. But anyway, I think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game because I think both defenses are terrible. It's possible that both offenses show up completely inept, but I think both sides have the tools to at least put points on the board against their respective opponents' defenses. And Christian McCaffrey's a huge part of that. So he's $10,000. That's a lot of fucking dough. But if he's going to get like 30 fucking points, I want those fucking points, right? And I think that the cheap guys that I took are absolutely capable of putting up the points needed to, take this lineup to beat the shit out of your friends or any other, lineups that you put in there for the longer slate of games. But that brings us to the defense. And look, I had a lot of money left, defense speaking, after that, even with McCaffrey at $10,000. But like I said, I like my cheap guys in this lineup, and I took the Chargers defense at $2,800. Usually I don't like to spend this much on a defense, but I had that much left. I liked the lineup, so I took them, right? And they're playing the Bengals. The Chargers secondary, no Derwin James. Everybody knows that. You've heard that a million times. But the fucking pass rushers, they're going to put Joe Burrow in the dirt. And like I said earlier, I think the game is going to be a lot of running. That's where the skill position guys are. Not that these teams don't have good wide receivers, but just the quarterbacks are going to be a little bit more conservative in this game. So obviously that impacts the wide receivers. So anyway, Chargers defense, I think they get at Joe Burrow and maybe like 10, 14 points given up, a couple sacks, maybe a pick six, you never know. But yeah, that's what I got going on for this lineup right here. So now let's talk about the Millionaire Maker. Take a sip of fucking water first. My mouth's dry. I'm just rambling to you motherfuckers. So, like I said just a minute ago, I think that Vegas and Carolina game is going to be pretty high scoring. I do. And this may be taking a risk. Maybe I should have went with Oakland because they're even cheaper and they have a little bit more cohesiveness. But I think that this could be a good combination. I think Teddy Bridgewater and DJ Moore could put up some numbers. I'm talking myself into betting this game now, just because I do like Carolina so much in it. Now that I was like looking into the individual numbers and such, but I like Bridgewater to come out. I like them to have a pretty good, and I like him just to come out and be slinging the ball. He played this team in the division last year when he was with the Saints, and he's used to them, and he knows them. He's been with them in camp. They haven't played the preseason yet, but I would like to think that they got enough rapport to keep it going. It didn't really seem to affect the offenses in the games last night. A lot of points, and granted, they were two of the better offenses, but Teddy Bridgewater does have weapons. He's got McCaffrey. He's got DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. I think that they've got the pieces to be a good offense. Defense is a whole different story. So Bridgewater, DJ Moore, Bridgewater 5,900, DJ Moore 6,600. Running backs, Dalvin Cook, another guy who definitely going to be hurt sometime this year. Have no interest in season-long fantasy. And this is just week one. And I like him in this spot against Green Bay. Stephon Diggs is gone. From what I've heard from the various shit that I watch, the receiving core in Minnesota is really just Adam Thielen because that rookie Justin Jefferson, I think his name is, it doesn't seem to be coming along. So I think Dalvin Cook is just going to get a shit ton of work. And when he gets a shit ton of work, he usually does some spectacular things. So yeah, give me Dalvin Cook 7,900. He'll be my big guy for this lineup here. So moving on to the next running back, we've got Ronald Jones at $5,200. See, I think people overreacted. I don't know why Leonard Fournette went over there. They need somebody to just punch it in when they get to the end zone. But I think Ronald Jones is going to be the guy to get them inside those, like the 20 and the 10s. Plus, Leonard Fournette just got there. And so I think Ronald Jones is going to be the one who plays the majority of the snaps in this game. And he handles the majority of the work in between the 20s. And I think he's got the skills to break when he's still a young kid. And now the balls are actually going to be going to the right places when they're thrown to him so that he'll be able to run after the catch instead of fucking going all over the place like Winston was throwing it to him last year. So give me Ronald Jones, $5,200. I like him in this game. Moving down to the wide receivers. We already talked about DJ Moore. So I think Seattle and Atlanta is going to be pretty high scoring. And I want a piece of that, a little more piece of it, because I took a little piece last game. But I do want Calvin Ridley. All right, Calvin Ridley. Everybody's going to cover Julio Jones. That's just the way it always fucking happens. So until he's off the field, Calvin Ridley is going to be a viable option because he's going to get a little bit more coverage over on the other side. And that's just the way it is. So give me the less expensive Calvin Ridley at $6,100 to put up the similar, if not better, numbers as Julio Jones that day. All right, next up, last receiver. Speaking of fantastic receivers and their counterparts, man, DeAndre Hopkins is fucking awesome at football and catching footballs. He's so awesome at that I'm sure that the San Francisco 49ers are going to put somebody extra on him or on that side. Richard Sherman's great, but he's getting up there in age, so he could always use a little bit of help. Just a little bit of help, especially when you're working against a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. So what does that mean? Christian Kirk is going to be on the other side, single covered, and he's pretty good when he's by himself. And Kyler Murray, I'm expecting him to take a nice step forward and throw some balls to Christian Kirk in this one specifically. So he's only $5,000, and I think that's a steal. I'm doubling up on Atlanta receiving people. Not receivers, but receiving people. So I'm taking Hayden Hurst. He's pretty cheap. I love him in season-long fantasy. I haven't said that yet this podcast. I've said that I hate people in season-long fantasy but love them on a weekly basis. But this is somebody that I love in both situations, and that is Hayden Hurst. $4,300, pretty cheap in terms of tight end money, and I think he's going to get a lot of work and see the end zone. So I got some dough left right now. Right? I got some dough left right now, and I want to spend it in my flex position. And I usually like to make both lineups completely different when I go this route, but I had just enough money to fit this guy in, and I figured I had to double up, and that's Austin Eckler. I talked about him already. I think he's going to have a great game against the weak Cincinnati defense, and I think they're going to rely on him a lot given that they have a pretty new offense, a brand new quarterback nonetheless. And that leaves me with $2,000 to get the bottom of the barrel of the defenses. But I don't think it's the bottom of the barrel. I think this is a fucking very good defense for this price. I would have paid more for this defense. If the rest of the $2,000 teams were here and this defense was $2,400, I would have paid the $2,400 for them. Whatever. It's the Washington football team. They have a stout fucking line. And they're going to be able to get at Wentz. They're going to be able to stifle the run. And Philly's receiving core, we talked about how depleted it is. So they might have some problems. So obviously they'll get some points. And obviously they're going to win the game. But I think that this defense is going to get enough sacks and enough pressure and be able to stop them enough to where they're a very, very good option, especially at the price point there. So that's it. We've got Teddy Bridgewater, $5,900. Dalvin Cook, $7,900. Ronald Jones, $5,200. DJ Moore, $6,600. You guys should see me. I'm doing like moves, like I'm fucking voguing while I'm doing this. DJ Moore was $6,600. Calvin Ridley was $6,100. Christian Kirk was $5,000. Hayden Hurst was $4,300. That was a little burp. Austin Eckler was $7,000, and the Washington football team defense at $2,000. So those are my two lineups. That's what I'm rocking with this week. So I'm Mike. I'm the Sports Dope. I am going to amplify this because I'm not talking loud at all, and I want it to be loud. I heard how shitty it sounded on the phone. Not on the phone, but you know what I mean, like in the fucking car when you hook your shit up. So hopefully this will make it sound a lot better, and I'll test it out, and hopefully that's the truth. So fuck it, right? So those are the lineups. Hopefully we get out there, win some money, listen to the Picks podcast. The lines are still juicy. Fucking love them all. I have a nice thing to say about all the lines. I could pick anybody. I love it. But no, I try. That's why I get myself in trouble. And I just pick a couple of things. But yeah, thanks for checking it out. Thanks for sticking around. And you can go to thatsportsdope.com. Twitter and Instagram is at thatsportsdope. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all those fucking things. Yeah. All right, that's it. Peace out.